It's been rough for the wrestling world. The passing of Jon was a shock, and with Windham, it's like...
When you guys are thrown together, how do you go from strangers to brotherhood?
We just had this mutual respect of each other.
People are blown away to realize how big you are.
People think I'm shorter than I am because we would be wrestling guys like Big Show.
You are one of the last 4 people to pin Roman Reigns.
Should he feel bad for losing to a 6'8", 330-pounder? Who were the other ones?
Shane, Baron Corbin, and Jey Uso.
Jey Uso beat him?
The Rock's last match was against you.
Yeah, it was a short one.
He's here. He's here. It's good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you in person.
In person?
Last time we did one of these, it was through the Zoom screen. I think you just reminded me it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, a little over 3 years ago, which is crazy. And the world was in such a different place 3 years ago.
It finally seems like it's getting back to normal.
I feel like we're maybe there, close to there.
I mean, the news is full of craziness, so maybe we are.
I don't know. Lots changed for you in the last 3 years. And I think the biggest thing people want to know is, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I mean, it's obviously been rough for the wrestling world. And, you know, it's just one of those things. And with, you know, the passing of Jon, you know, Brodie, it was a shock. And then with Windham, it's like you don't know where to start or begin, and it's one of those things that, you know, when you experience loss, it's like you don't know how to react, and I still don't know how to react. And no matter what I do, I always feel, you know, them with me. And wrestling's worse, I think, because when I'm in the ring, I spent so much time with them that when I do any show lately, I'm constantly reminded, either by just popping myself in the ring by doing a move and thinking of somebody yelling in the corner at me and laughing, or the crowd reminding me. And it's just one of those things, and keeping busy is, you know, my key to just kind of moving on and, you know, concentrating on my family and myself.
I think people only really think of the fact that you spent time with them in the ring. But, I mean, how many hours, days, weeks, months were you guys traveling together?
Countless. I mean, it's crazy to think about, like, especially back in, like, 2012, 2013 when we debuted. It's like you're on the road, like, literally 260 plus days a year. You're seeing these people more than you are your own family. And whether you like each other or you don't, you're stuck with each other. And you better either learn to get along or your life's going to be miserable. And luckily we all got along. And as the years went by, you know, our bonds got stronger. But, like, man, like, when we were starting, it was literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you know, home for a day and a half and then back on the road. And then they'd do the European tours. It'd be like a month straight, then home for a couple days, and then back on the road constantly. So it's crazy to think about. It's just countless memories and things that are like fragments in your head about, like, times you spent together, and it's, you know, it passes you by so quickly.
So when you guys are thrown together, how do you go from strangers to then friends to then it grows into, like you just said, like a brotherhood?
I mean, each journey is different for everybody. You know, there's some wrestlers that can't stand each other and don't talk to each other outside the ring. Yeah. It's just what happens. And, you know, of course, I think me and Jon, we went through that stage early on. It's well publicized that we had this friction between us. And I think it wasn't until, like, towards the end of the Wyatt stuff and, like, really, like, when we did the Bludgeon Brothers stuff, that we just had this mutual respect of each other and basically said, hey, we've been stuck together. We wanted to do single stuff, and for some reason, like, it brought us closer together. which, you know, would have tore apart many tag teams. But, like, I think the more time we spent together, the more we gelled as a team and the more we gelled as friends. And, you know, Windham was no different. He was always there, you know. And when, I don't know, life, it's just hard to reflect on these memories and to be able to come up with the correct things to say, because there is no correct or right things to say. It's just we spend so much time together, and you have tiffs with your family. We have tiffs as a team. But like the good thing with the three of us is we usually had one, you know, like, oh, whoa, guys, calm down. This will be good. Like, so like we never had like crazy fights or anything I could remember. It was literally just a family dynamic. And I think that's what I always remember, especially when we were riding together early, and we learned really quick we need to all ride separate and really make
did something happen?
Nothing ever happened, but I remember in the beginning we had to share rooms, and I'm a horrible snorer. Like I need to go get a sleep apnea machine or something because I'm loud. And if you're sleeping in the same room with me, you're not getting much sleep.
Yeah,
like
you're getting a lot of sleep.
I'm getting great sleep.
Yeah,
but getting a pillow thrown at you every night in the middle of the night, and me waking up mid-sleep, sitting straight up, being like, I can't help it. Like, I don't think that's really going to help. You know, it's going to cause a little friction. So I remember that once we stopped riding together, I think that really helped. You know, all of our friendships, because I think we were all getting better sleep. You know, plus it's always good to have a little bit of privacy on the road.
Have you seen the card for UFC 296? This thing is stacked. Headlined by Leon Edwards defending his UFC welterweight championship against Colby Covington. And I'm curious, do you want to go? Do you want to go to UFC 296? We already know that Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, and we know that Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting for the people with over $15 billion, that's billion with a B, recovered for their clients. And we know that submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is free and easy, but did you know they're the official injury law firm partner of the UFC? So UFC 296 goes down on December 16th live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and thanks to Morgan & Morgan, we are giving away tickets so you can be there. They're giving one lucky winner $2,000 and 2 tickets to UFC 296 to see Covington and Edwards go head to head in Las Vegas. Entering is super easy. Just text CVV to For the People. That's 484-373-6742, or just click the link down below in the description. It's morganufc.com/CVV.
How difficult is it having the constant reminders? I mean, I just picked you up from Jimmy's World Order. You did a signing there, and I'm sure you're signing photos where it's the Wyatt family. It's constant reminders, I'm sure, in your personal life, but it's also constant reminders in your professional life every single day.
I mean, if I didn't remember, then what does that say? Like, what does that say? Like, what kind of impact do these people have on me if I didn't remember, if I wasn't reminded? They obviously had a profound impact on me and my life. And me being reminded of it, you know, it makes me kind of smile, you know what I mean? Just because I'm constantly reminded of them in my life and what they meant to me, you know, whether it be what we went through together, the hardships, the good times, the laughs, just from the feeling at the bottom to feeling at the top of the world. Like, these are just all sorts of different memories that I don't think I ever want to forget. Somebody's being robbed outside.
Yeah, this is Hollywood for you.
In that sort of token, I'm going to take a drink of this energy drink.
This F3 energy drink's going to fill you with...
F3 energy.
These things are very good. I only know you think of that original flavor there.
You know, it's not bad.
What is the main thing that people have you autograph at these signings?
The main thing?
Yeah. Is it masks?
I mean, the masks you can't find. So I sell some masks. Like I created, I found a company that made them and do exact replicas of ones that were in the ring, and I hand paint a few of them just to sell something a little different. But those seem to be the best sellers and the most normal thing I think I signed.
I think people are blown away when they meet you in person to realize how big you are. Like, yeah, you look big in the ring, but then I think they stand next to you, like a normal-sized human like myself, stands next to you, and like you're almost a foot taller than me.
Well, I think people think I'm shorter than I am because we would be wrestling guys like Big Show, Khali. You know, we'd have big guys like Tenzai, Brodus Clay. I'm trying to think of Kane, Undertaker, like just giants that were still wrestling on the roster. Mark Henry, I think I said, but like, so I just, when you put me up against somebody like Rey Mysterio, yeah, it's you see the size difference, but I never really think about it that way. I just think about my size being a hindrance of hitting my head on things when I walk onto a plane. It's very uncomfortable. When
you walk onto a plane, I'm sure that everyone sitting there, like as you're walking, everybody that's sitting there is going, "Oh, I hope he's not sitting next to me."
Good, because that's exactly what I think.
Because
when I see a wide-shouldered young man walk onto a plane, I'm like,
exactly.
Please, not here.
Could you imagine two wide-shouldered young men, so you and somebody else next to each other? There's no room for a third person.
I mean, I've had to be on planes sitting next to Ryback or big Captain Mike IRS. We're stuck together in one seat, like little 2x2. Not fun.
I mean, who are you? Nobody's going to want to sit next to that.
No, it's not like you're going to switch seats. Do you mind sitting over here?
No. At what point did you get to be this tall? Like, when did you get the growth spurt? What age?
I think I was around 18. Like
8. So you were like a
I was like 6'6", 6'7", because right now I'm about 6'8". But yeah, I've always been like tall.
How tall were you at like 12, 13?
I don't remember. It's so long ago.
I guess.
But I do remember being incredibly like, skinny, frail, like a beanpole. Like 9th grade, I was like 6'4" and like 195 pounds.
Okay.
Like I was skinny, and it wasn't until I started lifting weights, I think, that I like started gaining muscle and getting size.
So when you're a big guy and you're watching pro wrestling, is it the other big guys that you're like, I see a lot of me in those people?
Well, that's one of the reasons I got into pro wrestling is like you watch it as a kid and then you fade off usually, and then when you get older, so like me around like junior, senior year of high school, so it was like 98, 99, I started watching again, and I saw guys like Test and Kane, specifically at a No Mercy like pay-per-view my buddy had gotten, and then we just watched it, and I was like, man, those guys are about my height. Like, man, I wonder if I could do that one day. And I started watching them. I played football, and I started watching all this wrestling, and there were all these big giant men like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. They had the big shows, the Undertakers, and I was just like, man, that looks like it could be fun. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. You never know. And then I went to an indie show while I was still in college football, but I had like a respiratory virus, so like it was undiagnosed. It ended up being RSV, which is mostly in infants. So like I was having trouble just walking at that time.
Wow.
And breathing, and I was like on oxygen trying to finish games.
Wow.
And I remember going to some local independent show, and on the show was WWF Cruiserweight Champion at the time, Jerry Lynn. And I was like, wow, this is the first time I'd watched wrestling live. And it was just like a little indie show in Minnesota somewhere. And Jerry Lynn was wrestling a guy named Mitch Paradise, who was like a local big man legend in the Midwest. And, he's like 6'6", 6'7", like 290 pounds, just like Greek god, physique, like the prototypical, WWE, WWF wrestler back in the day. And I saw them have just an awesome match that like looked realistic, hard hitting, and I just fell in love with wrestling completely. And I saw that the guy putting on the show was a guy named Terry Fox who worked with Eddie Sharkey. And I was like, how do I train?
Wow.
So that was kind of my intro to like, this is what I want to do. And it was the first live event I'd ever been to.
But that's a big jump to go from that looks like a cool thing that I see on TV to I think I can do that cool thing that I see on TV.
Yeah. And all I had to do was just quit college to pursue it, which my mom was not too happy with,
How do you break that kind of news to your mom of like, I want to try to be a wrestler? Sorry, I'm quitting college.
Well, there was a compromise in there where, hey, Mom, I'm going to not quit college. I'll move to I did a junior college. I was like, I'll pursue like a degree, like a 2-year degree instead of the 4-year. But I'm going to train to be a wrestler at the same time. That lasted about a semester. And then I was like, well, I need to get a real job. So you got to support yourself. So I worked at a gentleman's club to support myself while pursuing this wrestling dream. And then it just takes you in all sorts of different directions because like I started training in 2002. So 2003, you have your first match, and then you're just on this journey, but you're stuck kind of in the same spot. You don't really know, am I supposed to travel all over? Am I supposed to pay to travel? Like, where do I wrestle? Mm-hmm. You're kind of just doing local stuff. And then the first time I ever like paid money to do a camp was a Harley race camp. And that was, I think Beer City Bruiser had talked me into doing it. He was wrestling as Dinty Moore at the time out of Wisconsin. So I went with him and another guy named Elvato, and I spent $500 to do this camp, week-long camp for Harley, and it was going to have Simon Dean was talent relations at WWE at the time, and they had Pro Wrestling Noah there. So I did the week-long tryout. I busted my butt. I went in the gym and I trained after. We would do the wrestling during the day, and I was like, afterward, I was like, I got to go train. I gotta work out too. So then I worked out in the gym, but I was the only one working out in the gym. But the only other people were in there were the Pro Wrestling Noah people.
Perfect.
So I think they saw that, and they saw the dedication I had because I was the only one that was in there after all the training we did. And then it came time to do the show. They pick a certain amount of people to wrestle the show. There was a problem where my blood work didn't go through to wrestle in Missouri. So I was devastated. I was like, I made the show, but then I couldn't wrestle on the show.
Yeah.
It was like a highlight show at the end of the camp. Whatever, I watched the show. I'm like, oh, that was a waste of $500. And then, whatever, I went home. And like 2 days later, I get a call. You won't believe this, but they want to have you come out and live in the dojo. And I was like, oh, well, cool. I'm working corrections at the time, and I'm like, I guess I got to tell them I need to quit this corrections job I just got.
We'll get back to this conversation in just a second, but if you're looking for the key to top-notch performance, it all starts with sleep. Sleep is so important, and this comes from a new father who has not been getting a ton of it lately. If you're striving to reach your potential, it's time to pay attention to your sleep quality, and that's where our friends at GhostBed come in. For over 2 decades, GhostBed, a trusted family-owned business, has been dedicated to crafting premium, cutting-edge mattresses that prioritize both quality and cooling comfort. Every GhostBed mattress is a testament to years of expertise featuring luxurious materials like contouring gel memory foam and cooling quilted covers. But here's the thing, GhostBed is also known for having some pretty amazing sales, making top-of-the-line sleep accessible for people like me and you. And for a limited time, if you use the code CVV, you'll get 40% off. Yeah, 40% off your purchase at ghostbed.com. You'll also get a 101-night sleep trial along with free shipping and returns when you purchase a mattress, so you can try it in the comfort of your own home. And GhostBed has a dedicated team of sleep experts on standby to help you find your perfect bed. Just head to ghostbed.com/CVV to get started.
There seems to be this common thread with a lot of aspiring wrestlers that they work at a gentleman's club. Like you work the door at a gentleman's club, right?
You work the door, but you're also the bouncer. And
There's probably a lot of unruly people.
You take the money and you pour the drinks. It was
wore a lot of hats.
NA, non-alcoholic. So
What drinks are you pouring then?
I'm pouring O'Doul's. Non-alcoholic beer.
Wow, the 0%.
If somebody wants a cappuccino, somebody wants a soda pop. I'm there.
Oh, that's right. There's certain states where if the women remove all of their clothing, you can't drink alcohol then.
Yes, but it was a gentleman's club. It was not a strip club.
That's right.
You don't call it that.
That's right.
Yeah.
A gentleman's club. Yeah. It's funny how there's a lot of. I just had Karrion Kross in here, and he worked as a bouncer, and that seems to be a common thing where it's like you're working as a bouncer because you can handle your size.
And that's kind of like all I did, because you had to support yourself. So I would either bounce or do corrections or do security for either counties or just different kind of things, all within security. And so that was just kind of the thread of everything I did. And
yeah, someone would be crazy to try to step up to a guy who's 6'8" and 300 pounds.
There's a lot of crazies out there.
So you're saying that this is not uncommon?
No, I mean it happened to me today.
No, I don't. There's.
Yes, it was went to the signing today, and there was a 7-Eleven, and this guy was out front, this frail individual, and he basically said, "Yeah, you tough, you can fight," and I was like, "I don't fight." I said, and then he's like, "Well, I do," and then he tried to get in my face.
What?
I just walked past him. I wasn't going to start anything. I go in, I buy some energy drinks, whatnot, and as I'm checking out, 5 cop cars are outside, 5, which was nuts and obscene to me. And I look around, and that guy's being talked to by 5 police officers, and I'm like. Ask people that work there, like, what happened? Well, I guess the guy's been threatening everybody that's been walking through the whole day.
Oh, my gosh.
So they called the cops, and they said, this is L.A., so usually the cops don't show up, but 5 is pretty overkill.
I guess they weren't doing anything, but...
yeah, but speaking of crazy, tough guys, yeah.
Well, welcome to L.A., by the way. That's not an uncommon story, I think.
It's a fun day, fun start to my day,
Jeez, well, I hope the end of your day is better.
I hope so. I'll be on a plane home.
How long into what you were doing did WWE start taking notice of what you were doing?
It wasn't when I got back from Japan, I was a single dad. So Harley wanted me to move to Eldon to keep training and doing his shows, and I couldn't do it. So I had to go back, and I had to get another job to kind of support my son and me, and just wrestle on the weekends. And if you know anything about trying to make it in wrestling, the last place that you want to go is to stay in one place and just learn from 2 or 3 different promotions around you, because you're not going to get any better. You're going to get bad habits. Luckily, I was able to work some guys that were pretty good. So I remember FCW had a FCW recruit site where you upload a match. It wasn't like you send a tape or whatever, but you upload a match, and then so I did that. I uploaded a match, and I was just like, well, if it happens, it happens. If not, I'm supporting my son, and I'm working a decent job doing security for a county and getting benefits and all that. And I don't know, again, about a week later after that, they wanted to fly me out for a week-long tryout for FCW. Tom Pritchard was down there, Steve Kern, so went out and did that, and the rest was history.
What do you think was the thing when you went down there that impressed them the most?
I don't know. I just know that with me personally, everything I do, I put my heart and soul into, and I'm not going to give up. And I just try to keep getting better and learning from any kind of mistake I make in my head. I'm a perfectionist with myself, and you always learn something new every time you do anything.
What was the original pitch for the Wyatt family? How did they lay it out for you?
I don't think there was like a original type pitch. I know Windham was trying out this Waylon Mercy type cult character, but there's no way the company was going to have a 30-person cult come out, and travel on the road every week. So I know we like with Dusty Rhodes like class, we like had like different people and different versions of like people come out with them. Like one was like Rick Vick, who was later in the Ascension, Brodie and me, and like one like promo we did, we like kidnapped Enzo for making fun of us or something. Just weird stuff we would try. And when it came time to like they did like a video, but I wasn't included in this video. I think it was like Eli Cottonwood and I think Audrey Marie and Brodie, and they all did like this video concept for the Wyatt family. And then Brodie debuted as like the first son on NXT. And then like 2 weeks later, like a day before TVA, they said, all right, we want you to be the second son. And I was like, okay. Because me and Brodie had been taken for a while down in NXT. It made sense. So I was like, okay, but all I have is trunks.
Yeah.
And because I was doing like this Falcon Viking stuff, which I was told would never work, by the way. You could never be a Viking. And
Viking gimmick won't work.
it would never work.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can't believe that. But no, so luckily in the trunk of my car I had a pair of pajama bottoms. I had jeans, but I didn't want to wear what Brodie was wearing, because he was wearing the jeans and the flannel and the A-shirt, and I was like, well, what the heck am I going to wear? And luckily I had a pair of coveralls from a reality show I did in Norway from a farm. They were green coveralls with like reflective yellow on them that looked horrendous, but I cut the sleeves off and like it seemed to be a good look, because I was a fan of like horror movies, just the same as Windham, and the Michael Myers aesthetic, the Slipknot aesthetic of the coveralls, but like cut the sleeves off so you could actually show some, like physique.
Yeah.
Because those things don't really show much physique at all.
Yeah.
And they're very hard to work in. So my movements were extremely limited.
Could you have like cut armpit holes or something to, make them a little bit easier to move around in?
No. I tried everything. I ended up getting flight suits later on that fit a little bit better, but like I could barely move. It wasn't until I started wrestling in jeans that I was like, man, I can move so much better.
I don't think people take that into account at all.
No, they just think I'm a slow big man, which is fine with me.
No. Were you originally just Rowan when you debuted in NXT?
No, it was always Erick Rowan.
But when Bray says it, he says, "This is my other son, Rowan." So like he doesn't say Erick Rowan. Maybe
I don't know. I just know they always announced me as Erick Rowan.
Maybe he just called you as Rowan. The announcers didn't know your name at that point.
It wasn't until the Bludgeon Brothers that the official name changed to Rowan, and then I feed it with Roman, and Vince got confused, and he couldn't say Rowan and Roman at the same thing. It was like like one of those like can't say it 3 times fast. Roman.
Did he threaten to change your name?
So he's like, change it back to Erick.
That's when everybody was losing their name.
Yeah, but I got mine back. I was one of the few to get it back at the time.
At the time, and then it started to be a thing, because remember Apollo Crews was just Apollo, and then Austin Theory was just Theory. Ali was just, there were so many.
It's not bad.
Not bad, right? Mm. Yeah, I got a few more for you.
A few different flavors.
Pretty good. Speaking of Roman, I saw such an interesting fact. I don't even know if you're aware of this. You are one of the last 4 people to pin Roman Reigns.
Are people upset about this?
No, not at all.
Because to me, should he feel bad for losing to a 6'8", 330-pounder?
No, this is being celebrated. It's okay. I think that it's such because he hasn't lost in so long, that it's like these are the last 4 people that beat Roman Reigns.
So who are the other ones?
It is Shane, you, Baron Corbin, and Jey Uso.
Jey Uso beat him?
Yeah, like not long ago.
But not for the belt.
Not for the belt. Like a tag match? Rich? Oh God, everyone's going to just destroy me for this. But I think it's a fun fact of like, oh my gosh, it's been that long that, someone who's not even working there anymore has a victory over him.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You should be working there. You should be working there. It was good to see you back. The circumstances weren't great, but it was good to see you back on WWE programming for the Bray tribute. I feel like that should have led to something else.
Like what?
You being there a week later, you being there the week after that, I just feel like there's something there. And the same thing happened in AEW. You were there for the tribute to Jon, and it's like, now what? And was there ever talk in AEW of you doing more stuff? Because you made one other appearance there.
I think there was always something about possibly in the future, and it's always that possibly in the future thing that I always hear. And it's like, if it's the right time, it's the right time. If it's the right thing, it's the right thing. What I loved about wrestling was always surprises. And guys would come out and you'd be like, holy crap, this guy just came out. Or now he's got this storyline, this feud, now he's a hot commodity. Instead of oh, this guy just came out. Well, where is he now? He hasn't been on TV for 3 weeks. That's not exciting to me. What was exciting to me was these guys, I remember when Nash, Hall, and Hogan came, and this was during No Way Out with WWE, and it was holy crap, these guys are here now. And then they got stuck in all these top feuds with The Rock, and it was exciting because it was something different to watch, and you were instantly, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do, and here's why I'm doing it. And I don't think there's a lot of that happening right now.
When Jon went to AEW and everything with the Dark Order, there was a lot of whispers of it would make sense for you to be there at the same time when he was debuting. Was there ever talk of that happening?
When
Brodie was in AEW originally, when he made his debut there?
Oh, so we talked a lot. When he was doing it, 'cause I was always I'm so happy for you. You're having a blast. He's he never was given much promo time in WWE. So watching him do the BTE episodes, I would watch that just to watch his segments because he's having fun. He's speaking. He's being this character he wanted to be, and he was a fan of mobster movies and stuff like that. So I hear him watching this giant man do a Joe Pesci. It's crazy. He's just throwing papers at people, and you can tell he's just having a blast. And I was on the phone with him talking about how happy I was for him, and he had this spark under him about how much fun he was having. And at the same time, I think I'd started doing some films, and he was throwing back the same things to me and how excited he was for me and what was going to happen for me in the future. So it was that kind of mutual thing. And then there was never any talk of it. I mean, we talked eventually about maybe doing some signings together, or maybe doing a couple, shows maybe in Japan or something. But we had never talked about doing anything there because he was building something for him. And we had fought so hard to get out of each other's shadows for so long because we were always connected, and we wanted something for ourselves. And to see him start to get something for himself, and for me to be able to branch off and do stuff for myself, those were great conversations to have, And as far as after he passed, it's I wouldn't want anything to do with Dark Order ever. And it's not because I don't think those guys are cool. It's because that was his legacy. He created that.
Yeah.
In such a short amount of time. He made them something very special. And nobody should try to replace that.
Yeah.
And those guys do good by honoring him, but I don't see them ever being as big as they were with him.
Well, he's irreplaceable, right?
Absolutely.
He has this charisma about him that, the Dark Order's great, but they're not him. And I feel like it's the same with Bray. And I'm actually curious there. After you got released, and then Bray was doing what he was doing, was there ever talk of bringing you into that world 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Windham had talked to me about wanting to involve me. But it's all about timing and places and story and what works best for the company. And it's not all an individual's decision. So yeah, we've had conversations about like things we'd like to do and like stuff in the future, but like life happens and things happen, and unfortunate things happen that are way more important than anything to do with this fictional wrestling that we do.
It's interesting because I say Bray Wyatt and then you answer Windham. What's the difference between Bray Wyatt and Windham?
Bray Wyatt, character. Windham Rotunda, human being. Jon Huber, human being. Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, characters. Erick Rowan, Erick Redbeard, character. Joseph Ruud, human being. Like, we don't talk about actors being, oh my gosh, look, it's the guy from this movie, like, and then you name the character and you yell it out. Like, you don't do that. I mean, you don't yell to Val Kilmer or Mad Mardigan.
What a deep cut on that one.
I mean,
wow.
but you don't.
That's great. Yeah,
but you don't. And wrestling's the only thing where you're calling everybody by their character names.
It's such an interesting thing.
And in this day and age, with kayfabe, all but being dead in the water, like, I don't understand why we supposed to be this character outside. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can keep kayfabe. When we're on TV, when we're in the ring, the show, we're that character. Mm-hmm. When we're out at an airport, when we're out with our families, we're just us. Yeah. If you want to come say hi, cool, but respect the boundaries of us being human beings and not just being, we're this wrestler. Like, because like, I get it. Fans sometimes feel like they're owed something. And yes, we wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for the fans, but either would actors. Yeah. Actors wouldn't have fans if it wasn't for them to watch the products, to pay for the subscriptions to the, like the at-home stuff. And it's always odd to me.
It is. Like, could you imagine seeing Bryan Cranston in an airport and being like, do the thing, say my name, say it.
And I'm sure they get it.
I'm sure, but like,
not at the extent that professional wrestlers
do you think
get
it's
it.
Because Bryan Cranston has played 50, 60, however many characters he's played? Do you think that's why?
I'm sure that has something to do with it, and like, I think that's what I love about acting is you can play all these different characters as opposed to wrestling where you're just basically the same character, but you're exploring more of that character and getting deeper and deeper as the seasons of wrestling go.
Yeah, and then some people have another character that's vastly different from the character that they were playing before, but you're going to have, 2, 3, 4 characters
and
in a career?
Mostly it's just people getting confused between what's the character and what's the storyline.
Yeah.
A storyline is just that character doing something different.
Yeah.
But it's still that same character.
And there are plenty of examples of, like Stunning Steve Austin is vastly different from Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I'm sure we could give plenty of examples like that. But in a great career, you have 3, 4, maybe? Like Smoking Guns Billy Gunn is very different from Billy and Chuck Billy Gunn, which is very different now from Daddy Ass Billy Gunn. They're all some sort of version of Billy Gunn, though, I guess.
All sort of the same, right?
I guess they're all, I guess so. But you're doing a lot of acting. And in that, and in this conversation here, I think people are seeing like, man, Joseph speaks really well. Like maybe they should have given him a chance to cut some more promos.
Oh, man.
I just think we were missing that.
It's funny because I remember I did a role for a TV show, and like I spoke more in that one role than I did, I think, like half of my career, which is nuts. It's nuts to me. Like I don't get it sometimes, and like what it's been. I think it's been 3 years since the pandemic started and all the releases happened. And yeah, I've been like on national television with other promotions, with AEW, but not once have I been given an opportunity to speak. That's crazy to me. And I don't know why. I don't know if people don't think I know how to speak. But I'm obviously sitting here talking to you, and you know, you can watch anything I do on film. It's, you know, they're obviously different characters, but it's still spoken word. Film is basically the art of screen presence, speaking.
Think of the character work that you could do after everything that you've been through in the last 3 years. That promo that you're going to inevitably cut one day, you're going to have a lot to say.
I don't know. I don't control it. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. If somebody wants to creatively do something with me, cool. If not, I'll still have an outlet to speak, so I'm fine with that.
You're doing a lot of auditions right now, right?
Well, I was.
Oh, yeah.
There's currently a strike going on that
Yes.
needs to be settled,
Yeah.
and they're not asking for much. So hopefully there's something settled within the next 30 days, because I think they're on day like 101 right now of this strike.
I would really hope it's done before the end of the year.
Well, you hope, because if you're at home, what are you going to watch? I mean, you're going to watch reality TV. I mean, I saw there was new SNLs coming out, and I was like, how is that possible? And I was like, oh, that's because it's under a different section.
Yes, and those writers were on strike. Those writers are no longer on strike, but yes.
But the actors are under a different code, because it's
Yes.
like it's like an improv TV show.
Yeah,
which is like professional wrestling. There's if you're a SAG, you're still able to wrestle. As you've seen us doing it, Rock's doing
Yeah.
it, but it's under a different code. It's under like
Yeah.
a reality type script, not scripted, non-scripted show.
I think what's going to happen is the networks are going to see the earnings from Q4, and they're going to go, oh my God, this is not good. And the strike will end either end of Q4 or beginning of Q1. Because I think that the strike was barely going on at the end of Q3. And they were like, oh, we're fine. The numbers still look okay, subscriber numbers, and everything looks okay. And I think that at the end of this quarter, they're going to go, oh yeah, we need new shows and actors to do them.
Well, it's like right now everybody's catching up on those old shows, and it's like I was just on a flight from Sydney today to come.
Which
here
is
to LA.
insane, by the way. Thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
You were in Sydney at some point while you were still awake.
Exactly.
You might have slept a little bit on the plane, but and
Just-
it's always so
just
weird when
tad.
you leave Australia and you come here and like you gain so much time. You leave there at like noon and you land here at like 1 p.m.
It's
You're like,
it's odd.
I'm a time traveler.
But yeah, I said that to my daughter. I was like, she's like, what day is it? And I tell her it's like a day ahead.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in the future.
You are.
What's going on back then?
Give me the lottery numbers.
But no, it's just, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
You were
tired.
saying on the flight over here, please drink some more F3 energy. On the flight over here, you were watching a show, catching up on a show.
So yeah, so I feel like there's so many shows that people are right now divulging all this stuff that's older
Yeah.
that may be canceled already. Like I think I was watching it on the plane. I was watching a show called, I don't know, Rabbit Hole with Kiefer Sutherland. Great show. I'm
Yeah.
like 3 episodes in. I'm like, man, like a good show. But it's like there's so many shows that people probably miss because there's so much new content. But then what happens when everybody watches all that content and you just like you have nothing to watch?
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
It's almost like we're in this paradox of choice right now because there is so much, because it's Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus and Apple TV and
And movie theaters.
of course YouTube, yes, where we are right now, and movie theaters. And I still think that nothing beats the theatrical experience. There are very few moments in life where you put your phone down and you focus on what's happening and you're present in the moment. This, what we're doing right now, is one of the very rare ones, having a podcast conversation. Our phones aren't on the table. We're not watching them light up. And, oh, who texted me? Who is that?
What's that?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What's that? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a hand.
And the movie theater's another one where it's like you're going in there for 2.5 hours, whatever it is, and your focus is on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, nothing like the movie theater experience. I mean, I love going to the theater and just watching the classics. Like whenever they have like the retro nights and they show the old films. I'll bring my daughter like some of the old. I made her go to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like she's got to watch the classics.
I think one of the first movies I'm going to show my daughter is Back to the Future. I just love that movie. I think it's the perfect film. And if it happens to be playing in a theater, even better.
Anything with Christopher Lloyd's got my check mark.
Great
approval.
Scott. I know you're a big horror guy. Give me like top 3 for you.
So I'm weird when it comes to horror.
Oh boy.
So like the top of my list is Texas Chainsaw number 2.
Number 2.
Dennis Hopper's Craziness, Bill Moseley's Chop Top, Bill Johnson's Leatherface. Then you have the DJ, the helpless DJ who tries to fight her way out, but Leatherface has the hots for her. It's a weird movie. And what's Dennis Hopper doing? He's so mad. He's deranged the whole movie. I love it. That's classic 80s. And then you go from that to the weirdest of the Halloweens, Halloween 3.
Wow, these are deep cuts.
So this is Season of the Witch, and Tom Atkins is just trying to save the world from these crazy scientists that are trying to take over the world on Halloween night with these masks you put on and they melt your face. So those two are up there for my all times. But then when you, I think, get into the other ones, I'm always like back and forth on what I like, you know what I mean, as far as like my third best horror movie. And I mean, I can never decide. Like I love My Bloody Valentine.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I could pick any movie from the 80s. Like, but like I love campy, so it'd probably be Maximum Overdrive.
Do you remember the most scared that you've ever been watching a horror film?
Maximum Overdrive.
Okay.
The pop machines. If you haven't seen this scene, I can give it away because it happens at the beginning of the movie. Basically, all the machines churn, like there's an asteroid, this thing in the sky that makes all the machines come to life and start killing people. Cars are running over people, lawnmowers are going and running over people's legs. And there's this one scene with a pop machine, and this coach put like a quarter in and he's trying to get the money out, and the pop just comes out at like 90 miles an hour, hits the guy in the groin, he bends over, and it starts hitting him in the head over and over again. and it kills the guy.
Oh, jeez.
And then it starts going after this team of little leaguers, and it just starts spitting out pop cans left and right. And it's the most absurd thing I've ever seen. But then you found out later on that Stephen King, who directed it, was on cocaine the entire time. So it made sense. But I love that movie because Emilio Estevez, you know, badass in that movie. Repo Man was always up there too. It's just this crazy movie about aliens.
Well, you've definitely given horror fans some very interesting deep cuts to go back and watch now.
Just anything from the 80s. Watch it.
Really, the 80s in general. Did some, especially when it comes to horror, some weird stuff going on there.
I mean, prime time for horror, wrestling.
Yeah.
Music. Got some good metal bands.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 80s was a good time. Plus, I was born.
Me too. 80s is the best time.
Cheers
Why
to
am I not
some
drinking
F3.
one?
You should be drinking it.
Cheers to some F3. All right.
Yeah.
I got Tropical Theory here. I think a lot of people forget that The Rock's last match was against you.
Yeah. Well, it was a short one. I don't know why you got to remind me of this.
That's an honor.
You know, you say it's an honor, but then I started really thinking about it. Some fan came into the signing today, and he was wearing the Rock's Brahma Bull shirt, and I was like, really? Like, come on, you got to put this in my face. He starts laughing, and it got me thinking. what does Brahma Bowl stand for? So what does the Brahma stand for? So I looked it up because I was curious. Brahma is the Hindu god that means the creator. The creator bowl. So it got me thinking, what the hell does that mean? I really want to know. Like, how did he come up with that? And you're the kind of guy to be able to ask him that question.
I will ask him this next time.
Please find out why he wanted to be the Brahma Bull. That's like me being the Loki sheep.
That's pretty good too.
The god of mischief.
That's pretty good.
But a sheep. I mean, it's ridiculous sounding, but it actually might work.
But don't you feel like this is a nice notch on the belt to say, like, yeah, The Rock's last match is against me?
And I shouldn't feel bad because he's technically a Hindu god? No.
I just think that people go back to like, oh, it must be Cena, right? It must be WrestleMania 29. Cena, 29, yeah. The twice in a lifetime match.
Oh, yeah. But no, it was it 32?
It was WrestleMania 32. Yeah. How were you the guy for that?
Because Braun couldn't be beat. They had to protect Windham, and John had just suffered a torn patella. So it would have been paper, rock, scissors between me and John taking the quickest pin. So, yeah, I just happened to win the short straw on that one.
Again, this should be an honor, no?
Huh?
It should be an honor. You shared a ring with The Rock.
No, like as Joseph Ruud,
Yes.
it was an honor. As Erick Rowan, it was humiliating.
Was there, and I'll speak to Joseph here.
Yes.
Was there talk of it, like how fast were they trying to make this match?
The fastest in history.
But were they like, okay, rock bottom, 1, 2, 3, the match could be done in 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 7? Like, did they?
They just said rock bottom 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
They want to get it done before 10 seconds or 8 seconds, whatever the record
so they could
was.
beat the
Yes,
record.
Absolutely.
Because The Rock jumps on you for that pin. Like, I've never seen The Rock go for a pin ever.
I'm really appreciative of that. He didn't do the Randy Orton pin where he hits the RKO, does a couple poses, and then slowly goes on the guy.
Well, then he wouldn't have beaten the record then. At what point do they tell you you're going to be having a match with The Rock?
Like the day before.
And your reaction?
I'm not in the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. I was supposed to say that angrily, but I didn't.
It's The Rock.
No, exactly. So, it could have had worse things to do that weekend. And
I think you are severely underselling how cool this is.
I see. It's weird to me because it's like it's work, and yeah, you have fun, cool moments and things that stick out in your head. Was that the coolest moment I had in the ring? No. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, it was cool. But like, was that the dream I had as a child? No.
What was the coolest moment you've ever had in the ring?
The coolest moment I had in the ring, besides pinning Roman Reigns.
It's a pretty good one.
Huh? Well, yeah. I did enjoy that match, and only because at the end of it was a surprise. And the surprise was John coming back and knowing I get to tag with him the next, pay-per-view and have at least one last quick run before he, left. So that to me was a cool, special moment because that you could see the real brotherhood there. You know what I mean? And that last few weeks we had together was probably the most fun I've ever had wrestling. You know what I mean? But obviously, I think when I look at moments of just different career things, I think me and him winning the belts at WrestleMania 34 was probably one of the highest.
Maybe it's not a specific moment, but when the Wyatt family entrance caught on, especially at a WrestleMania stadium, that must be one of the coolest things.
Oh, those entrances were fun. They were cool. I did a lot of shit talking underneath the mask.
To who?
I tried to break the other two guys. Never worked, but I tried.
So what were you saying?
Huh?
What were you saying?
I said, must suck. I said, so how's it looking out there, guys? Like, just rubbing them, like, I don't know, man. We're just having fun. Like, me and John would be under the ring watching some of Windham's matches, and then we'd just be ripping him during his matches, just to each other, and then we get in the back and be like, oh yeah, good match, man.
I always wondered, when did you guys film the name of the city? We're here. Was that filmed right before? Was it live? What was the deal?
Usually we did that for just a pre-tape in every town.
So just at some point throughout the day, got you guys together.
Yeah, and we would do it. We wouldn't do it live only because the lighting and all that sort of stuff had to be a certain way.
Right.
Yeah.
That was, oh man, it was a very cool entrance.
Oh, it was always fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that entrance and New Day's Big E introduction is my two favorites in wrestling.
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world-class tag team champs and feel the power. But he'd do this weird wiggle while he does it.
Oh, because he's doing that live.
But he'd be backstage doing it live. And nobody would see him doing the wiggle. Feel the power. And he would just go nuts with it.
I mean, you
could feel the energy.
Speaking of the tag team championships, what you had with you and Daniel Bryan, I felt like there was something there. What happened?
I mean, we were on the pre-show as tag champions. I mean, what's that tell you about how they viewed the tag teams at the time? Especially when Daniel Bryan was, just world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And then
the Eco Champ.
Yeah, the Eco Champ. So to then go to trying to make the tag titles mean something, and then being on the pre-show, it's kind of like an insult, I guess. Yeah. But we tried the best we could, and at least it led to some sort of feud. You know what I mean? And then to me, I was happy with the end of it because I finally got to get a microphone and start talking for a few weeks. So, which again was probably the most fun I'd had when they're letting me talk and kind of be a character that I want to be. And then the cage stuff happened. But I can beat that in the head all I want, but when you go from talking on a microphone and having a story to basically having no direction and being told not to speak, yeah, it's kind of a creative headache. But it's kind of like being cast in a TV show, and every week you got your own backstory, and you're explaining more yourself to the audience at home, and people are getting invested, and then all of a sudden you're in 3 episodes in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a deflator, but
the cage stuff was really cool, and we talked about it at great length during the last episode.
Yeah.
What the original plan was there, but it was so good, and it actually kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about the element of surprise. You came out with that cage, and for weeks people were like, "What's in there? What could it be? Is there something in there?" And I think that element of not knowing was so intriguing. Revealing it at all, I think, was a mistake.
Jump the shark.
Yeah.
The classic saying, jump the shark. But hey, it's all hindsight. It's all what happens, and it can't be changed. People remember it for good, bad, or indifferent, which is a good thing.
But I liked your idea of maybe there's nothing in the cage, and it's you projecting something into the cage. Maybe it's the worst fears of your opponent or whatever. That's so smart. It's not smart? A giant spider. I'm sorry.
Well, that's you saying it. You can say that.
I can say, look, everybody knows I was dumb, okay? And I don't often say negative things about wrestling, but that was dumb.
What are you looking at?
Sorry. I'm looking at the spider over
there. You're doing the third thing where you stare at the camera and you're actually breaking that fourth wall.
I was cutting a promo.
But promos, you don't break the fourth wall, do you?
Don't you talk to the people at home, brother?
Yeah, but you don't look directly in the camera.
You don't? You're doing it right now. See? This is terrifying, by the way.
I'm going to blink. There, I ruined it. Lack of sleep.
You don't look in the camera when you're cutting a promo?
You look at the people.
What if it's a backstage promo?
I never looked at the camera.
Who'd you look at? What'd you look at?
The interviewer.
You're just looking out the interviewer?
Or the back of my mask.
It's also true. Yeah, I guess.
Or I tried to do a Rubik's Cube or something for 6 weeks.
Is that a thing?
Well, there was a promo once where they said I was a genius, and everybody believed it, but yet it took me 6 weeks to finish a Rubik's Cube, which wouldn't that tell you I'm not a genius?
I mean, those things are hard.
Yeah, but people could do them in like 10 seconds.
Or less.
3 seconds.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it. I think it's fake. There's no way.
I can't believe it either.
I got to see it to believe it.
When I see those videos, I still don't believe it.
No.
Because they like hit the thing to start the timer.
And then it's done.
It's like, what?
It's crazy.
I don't know how we got on this topic.
Mad respect.
I have an insane amount of respect for anybody who's the very best at what they do like that. Especially when people can accomplish things that I know that I couldn't accomplish unless I had decades of work put into it.
It's amazing what you can accomplish that if you put your mind to it. Back to the Future.
It blew my mind there, but I was thinking of this other quote where it's like we underestimate what we can do in a decade and overestimate what we can do in a year. And it's so true, right? People just look ahead like 1 year of like, oh, well, I thought last year I could do this thing by now and I didn't. So that really sucks. Instead of going like, well, what if the goal is actually 10 years from now? And I'm chipping away at it every day for the next 10 years.
Or what can I do today to help me get farther along tomorrow than I was the day before?
I love that so much because then the next day, you're that much further than you were the day before. 1% better every day.
I mean, even 0.5%.
Even 0.1%.
I mean, change your diet. How do you do it? Let's just take away one thing a day. Oh, I eat this candy bar. I'm not doing that today. Well, now I'm going to take away another thing. Well, I'm not going to do that apple. It just added too much sugar to my diet. Oh, I'm going to replace that apple with some spinach. Oh, no, I'm going to do that every day. Pretty soon your diet's perfect and you're looking better already.
I say to people, like, just take out the soda. Like, stop drinking soda pop, whatever you want to call it. Just take out the soda. This is sugar-free.
Don't take out the soda, but I'm going to try
Energy drinks are great.
Peach Mode.
Peach Mode's great. There's no caffeine in that one.
Did I say Peach Mode?
Peach.
See, that's something that, again, reminds me of Jon and Windham. They would always give me crap because I always mispronounce things. Like I just said Peach Mod instead of Peach Mood.
It's clearly Peach Mood. There it is.
But sometimes I read things and I say the wrong pronunciation.
And you're looking right at the camera, too. Looking right at the camera.
Now that I've embarrassed myself with my speech.
Is there one, maybe it's piece of advice, maybe it's story from Windham that you're reminded of every day that rattles around in your head every day?
So I don't think it was more advice, and I think it's just being confident, and this comes from Jon as well, in yourself. Because you know what you do best. It's good to go outside your comfort zone. It's good to try different things. It's good to fail. Like, those are things that help you, that make you better. Do things outside your comfort zone. Like, that's the ultimate I learned from those guys. Don't always stick to things that you're comfortable with, because if you always do that, what are you going to improve on? How are you going to improve yourself? Like, somebody who's afraid of public speaking. Hey, do a speech in front of somebody. No. If you're in school, you got to do a speech in front. I don't want to do a speech in front of anybody. I'm not going to do it. I'll get the F. But if you do the speech in front of people, it's nervous at first. But then if you do another one, and another one, and another one, what was once outside your comfort zone is now something easy.
Yeah, I think that when people say, I can't, it sets them up for failure. Because they think that I can and I can't are such powerful phrases, because whatever you put after that, you start to believe in your own self.
And don't be afraid to be silly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do things off kilter. Like, a scream there, a goofy dance here. Like, who cares? Who cares what people think?
Yeah.
And that's something I've always thought. It's like, you're you. You know who you are. You don't need to put a front on about being a certain type of thing. You don't need to. I heard for the longest time, you look a certain way, this is how you should act. That goes back to the whole thing of, because of the way you look, this is the way you should sound. Well, you look like you should speak like this. There's no right or wrong. Just because you look a certain way, never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Ever. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique in their own silly, wonderful way. Everybody brings something incredible to this world. And don't take other people's opinion and have it shape what you want to be and who you're going to be. Don't be afraid to be the weird one. Like, honestly, like, I feel like a lot of people are afraid to be themselves because they're afraid of how they might be judged. And you shouldn't be afraid. Be who you are.
That's so good. All right, so I ask the same question at the end of every episode. And that was so good, by the way. Gratitude's such an important part of my life. I wake up every day, I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for, and I do it with my wife before we go to bed, even if she's crazy tired because we have a 5-month-old baby.
What if you're fighting?
We don't.
Everyone fights.
I gotta say, knock on wood, we haven't really had any real fights.
Oh, a fight, a tiff, a disagreement over a piece of bread. Is it rye bread? Is it wheat? How dare you? It's wheat. There has to be something you guys disagree on.
I mean, there's
I
definitely.
want to watch sports. I want to watch the opera.
I do. I don't know. I just think that there's more important things to focus on. We haven't had like a real fight. Knock on wood. Now I'm sure I'm jinxing it now. But yes, we do it every night. And sometimes she's like, "Oh, I'm tired. Can we just do it tomorrow?" I'm like, "No, just got to do it tonight. We got to
that was a fight.
That's a fight.
That's a fight.
That's
a tiff.
Hey,
let's do this. Oh, come on, let's do it tomorrow.
And she's like, all right, I'm grateful for you and the baby and the dog. Wow, and then you feel great because you're like, wow, I've got, even however tough today was, I've got some pretty cool stuff. So what are 3 things in your life, Joseph, that you're grateful for as we sit here right now?
I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my kids. And I'm grateful for my health.
I love it. Yeah, health's always one that I'm listing off too. Without health, what do you got?
I mean, you're healthy till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you live till tomorrow.
So good to sit down with you today.
Oh, it's good to actually see you in person.
Yeah, I know. This is so good.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, man. And thank you